Alright, what's up everybody? It's Aphrodite's Crush back with you here once again, and we're going to need at least one Baja Blast to get this started. So here we go. I'm enjoying this now because it is getting pretty hard to find these around my place of residency. So, if you saw the title of the video, this is going to be more of a, I don't want to say a reaction, because that makes it sound like I am trying to cause a conflict type of situation here, and I'm not. What I am going to do here is come at this from a different point of view. Like, Not Gospel Studios has had now 2 videos on Slipknot. And I have been a Slipknot fan for a very long time. Basically since 1999. The first album, Triple S, hit. And it was like somebody just exploded anger and rage in all directions. And that was a little bit of a new kind of awakening in me as a metal fan. So, having Slipknot as one of the big bass lines for what has now become my preferred style of music to listen to, because I listen to stuff like, Lamb of God and Slayer and so on and so forth, partially because of Slipknot. And Not Gospel did a reaction on The Dying Time. And people just lost it. I mean, people were angry. People were like, don't do this again, blah, blah, blah. And I watched the initial video, and then they did a secondary video where they went over some of the lyrics. And they went a little bit further into why they don't enjoy it and why they don't recommend it. And they were asking questions, and people weren't giving an answer to those questions. And as much as it would be so easy to sit here and be angry and say, you just don't get it. Why don't you get it? Leave it alone. Or some variation thereof. I feel like it's best to come at this, first off, straight ahead and say, listen, no, you don't really get it. But here are some reasons why you maybe don't get it. And maybe a couple reasons why you should maybe look into it either a little bit further, dig a little bit deeper into the discography if you so choose, and also try to have a little bit more of a level-headed discussion about music in general and why we seem to have these kind of like knocking opinions back and forth. So, first off, I want to say that I did not find the videos that you guys put out, speaking directly to Not Gospel, for most of this video. So whenever I say you, your channel, this is directed at you. First things first. I don't think you came into these videos with a full open mind. I'm just being honest. Mainly because you make these comparisons like, oh, I used to listen to Korn, or I used to listen to Breaking Benjamin, and so I kind of understand. It's like, no, you don't really, because Slipknot taps into a very kind of primal way of thinking in a way. Especially the first album, Triple S, and of course Iowa, which is the second album. People were just angry, Rage for the sake of rage is what Corey Taylor has said about at least Iowa in particular. And having something to say about your life and the way that your life has turned out and the way that your life has progressed can take a lot out of you. When you're talking about the circumstances of your life and how you intend to deal with it and how you intend to move and progress forward, using the music and the group around you is not only a coping mechanism, but is also an escape from that. A place where you can set this way that you're feeling and express it. And when you find an audience, you bring those people together and say, you are not alone. We feel the same way as you do. This is a bonding experience. This is a way for us to express our lives, our circumstances, and this is a way that we are going to get over these things. Nobody that I know that is a Slipknot fan feels the same way in 2022 as they did in 1999. And if you do, you're not really dealing with your emotions. Music is there as a way to deal, to combat, and overcome your emotions and your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your circumstances of life. And it's also there as a reminder of these experiences that you have, because metal is just like any other style of music. It's this like postmarker into a moment in time where when you think a couple years down the line, and like the first time I heard this song, this is what I was feeling. Metal's the same way as any other genre of music in that regard. And as much as like I like Korn and I like Breaking Benjamin, just to use your guys' examples, we're talking about a very, again, primal instinct of feeling, which is anger and rage. Whether anybody likes to admit it or not, everyone has those moments. Everyone has that point in their life where they're just angry and they have to get it out. Or they're angry at a situation, they're angry at a person. And I don't believe that you kind of saw Slipknot with that type of a mentality. And saying, well, this isn't the way to get over it. Maybe not for you. You may have been brought up differently. Your circumstances of being raised may have massively been differently than Corey Taylor, who in many aspects lived on the street for many years, almost died of an overdose, literally in a dumpster. Literally crawled out of a dumpster after an overdose. He was left for dead by his friends. And then he had to make a change. He's like, okay, I can't live like this anymore. I need to get out of that situation. And holding that and then writing music based on that experience helped him to move forward. So, in making these allusions to like how you don't understand Slipknot as a concept, I think that's what you're missing. And especially when you're not getting Slipknot as a concept in the way that us fans see Slipknot. And yes, we are known as maggots. There's an entire story behind that Sean Clown Cran has explained many a time. I'm not going to go into this entire diatribe about the history of Slipknot and how much you don't get the history of Slipknot. If you want to learn the history of Slipknot, you'll seek it out. And I honestly recommend that you do, because you will then get the beginnings of understanding the band and the imagery and on all this kind of crescendo to where we are now. So there's that. And I also feel like it would be a disservice to you guys out there to say, okay, well, this is exactly what Slipknot's about. Because a lot of it is interpretive, especially in the music. I mean, you listen to a song like Kill Pop off of the Grey Chapter album, the words say one thing, but the meaning is completely different. Completely different. Like, my mentality when I heard the song at first was very, like, I saw a very specific scene in my head. I thought it was maybe based on a horror movie. And then to learn what Kill Pop was really about, I'm like, okay, I get it now, and I get the illusions. So, I'm not going to be that guy to be like, well, this is what it's about. Because I feel like if I do that, I'm doing a disservice to the band, and I'm also cheating you out of that, whether you want to experience that or not. Now, the things that I kind of take umbrage and I take issue with as a fan is the comparisons that you give. Like, the lady in the video, I don't know your name, and I'm not going to be a D-bag about it either. It's what it is. What it is. When I hear the poop on a canvas, or like the impressionistic value that you seem to not see in the music, you're also not taking into account that when you say, "Oh, I listen to Christian music to deal with my problems," some of us don't like Christian music. I myself, I'm very specific. I detest gospel. I don't mind Christian as a genre in and of itself. Like, I deal with it, it's okay. But I don't like gospel, and I don't like male country singers. That's not to say that I discount every single male country singer out there, and I discount all gospel. I just, to my ear and to my brain, I don't get the connection. I don't get it. It's not for me. There are exceptions. But I also think you're discounting other people's interpretation of what is music, and both of you did that in the video. You made a kind of a dismissive type of an attitude, which doesn't really lend you to metal fans. You're just saying, I don't care how much Korn or Breaking Benjamin or blah 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 that you listen to, that's not helping your case. But for us, we've been listening to this music for 20 plus years. So most of us, for most of our lives. I was raised on stuff like Ozzy, Sabbath, Journey, Triumph, Aldo Nova. The list goes on and on. I was raised on like the 80s metal. I fell out of it in like my early teens and mid-teens, got back into that stuff as time went on, and now I have a more adaptive attitude when it comes to music, except for Nickelback. If you know, you know. But most people who listen to metal at first are like, what is this? Especially when you're hearing something as abrasive, as fast-paced as Slipknot. It's like if I were to say to you, and this happens to a lot of YouTubers as well, and this isn't just you. We as metal fans like to spread the word. We want to have everyone say, "Oh, this is fantastic. We love it so much." But we also get really restrictive when people don't like it. But a lot of times we throw like Raining Blood by Slayer at them, and we're like, "Why didn't you like it?" You need to be eased into it, or you need to be raised on it. There's just no two ways about it. You need to either be eased into it in like a slope, and a real kind of gradient slope, or you need to be, listening to it since birth. And everyone, like, I can't understand lyrics. Well, first things first, you listening to stuff from now, when you're in whatever age group you're in, you're not going to understand the lyrics because your ear isn't attuned to that. To make a comparison, there would be no chance, and I took choir when I was in high school. There is no chance that me as a 40-year-old guy will be able to listen to the blah 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 chorus of blah 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 New York City or wherever, and be able to say, "Oh, I can hear the alto, the baritone voices," because my ear is no longer attuned to that. It has been so long since I've listened to that type of music. And I don't listen to it as a standard anyway. I'm not really a fan of it. So my ear is like, all I hear is a choir, and choir sounds good, okay, whatever. And then I move along. You as a listener, most likely are not going to be able to pick up on Corey Taylor's vocals for the most part. You can't hear the enunciations. You can't hear the performative breaks in Corey's voice. You most likely aren't even going to be able to realize when Corey's laying down multiple tracks of his screaming voice and when he's not, because you don't listen to it. And again, that's not me being dismissive of you listening to it. It's just the fact of the matter. People who say, I can't understand the lyrics. I understand it. You can't understand the lyrics. And metal fans, as a standard, most likely will not dock you points for that. We just like to hear open ears. So, kind of getting that out the way. Now, as far as I don't like the message. First things first, most likely the message isn't for you. Let's go ahead and kind of lay that on the ground. The message most likely isn't for you. Because you most likely wouldn't get the message to begin with, because you're not in the same circumstances as most of us are. Okay? For instance, like the Dying song, many people said it's been about social media and how people deal with social media in the incorrect way, and they live and die by social media. And they live and die by the words of others. Many people who use this type of music as a release for that are in way more dire situations as far as that goes than someone who has a support system that is lined up in stone. And going back a little further, like the Gray Chapter album from Slipknot. Many people were like, I don't like, it doesn't sound right to me, but you're also not dealing with the fact that somebody super close to you that helped you build something from the ground up is dead. Okay? Most likely, if you heard the Gray Chapter as an album, you heard almost anything off the Gray Chapter, you also would be kind of hearing words and like, wait a second, I'm not understanding what the negative one is. You know? So when you're talking about I don't understand the illusions and, you know, the terminology that Corey or whoever wrote the lyrics is using, most likely you're not in the same social situations as they are. So you just have to realize that people aren't in the same circles as you. People aren't dealing with the same personal issues as you. And people also aren't dealing with the same mental issues as you. And you have to kind of respect that. And as much as it's easy for someone like me to be like, you just don't get it, and to just leave it at that, it's you just don't get it, but you have to understand that not getting it on one level is a very, very fine line as well. Because things like social media could be affecting the people around you in your congregation. They don't know how to work to fix things like that. And they don't know how to break off from that as well. They don't know how to break off and repair themselves without having people around them say, well, why did you leave Facebook? Why did you leave Twitter? This is the only way I can get a hold of you. And then they're kind of dragging them back into this pit that they were just getting out of. And it feels like a part of them is being taken because they're being forced back into these situations that they didn't want to be in the first place. Just making another kind of illusion comparison. So, I want to just kind of make this video. It's almost 20 minutes. I don't know if you guys are going to watch this at all, but I'm just going to put it out there and say, you know, me as a metal fan, me as a Slipknot fan, I'm not angry. I'm honestly just a little bit more disappointed that you don't see where the value lies. And just because it doesn't have any value to you doesn't mean it doesn't have value to others. So, and if you guys happen to have any comments or anything, feel free, kick them down below in the comment section. And I'm also open to discourse. I'm open to doing lives and things like that. simply because I'm a music fan in general for the most part. And I think the more people we have talking about music in general these days, the better. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank everybody out there for watching. I will talk to you all next time. Peace out.